And we are live. Welcome to Deep in Love Talk Show. Today is September 10th, World Suicide Awareness Day. And we have several amazing guest speakers, as you can see on the bottom. I'm going to give you guys all a chance to briefly introduce yourself. Thank you for being here, and I'm very excited to be talking about this. It's not an exciting topic, but the more we can talk about suicide and bring awareness, and the more we can erase the stigma around it. So thank you all for taking your time to be here. All right, Michael, we're going to start with you. Will you just tell us where you are from, what you do, your name? Let us get to know you for a minute.
Am I starting?
Go.
Okay, my name is Michael Conti. I'm from Hazlitt, Homedale, New Jersey. I've lived in New Jersey all my life. I own a restaurant. I'm a business owner, a few different businesses. I have a stop smoking clinic and Medi Spa. But I lost a brother to suicide about 9 years ago. It's very deep to my heart, and I love what Ariel's doing. I seen her online, and I said, let me contact her. If I could change one person's life, that's all that would matter. So nice to be on your show, Ariel. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, and I'm very sorry about your brother, but I'm happy that you're here raising a voice for him.
Yes, thank you.
Latiana.
Hi, I'm Latiana from SoCal, live in Long Beach. I actually work in a psychiatric hospital in LA County, and I do rehab therapy. I'm a recreation therapist, so I use activities as a way to build coping skills, social skills for the patients when they go through stress or different traumas. To also help the psychologists kind of bring more strength to them and help them develop self-love and self-esteem through recreation.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Yes. Hi, I'm Jennifer. I am from Florida, but I will soon be moving to California. Yes. Yep. To pursue my master's in counseling, to be a marriage and family therapist, and basically I do promotional modeling. You know, the people that hand out food, wine, liquor, and I also work doing modeling as well. And the reason why I wanted to do this show is because I personally have had suicide, depression, and cutting in my past, and I just hope to maybe share my personal stories and hopefully help somebody. So.
Thank you for being here.
No problem.
Jasmine? Your turn, Jasmine. You lost your audio, hon. I think your microphone is muted. You want to take a minute to figure it out? Anthony, we're going to go to you.
Okay, my name is Anthony Montez. I'm a actor, writer, teacher, teach acting. I had attempted suicide years ago by jumping in front of a train. I recently wrote a play called Subway Suicide that we did on stage, and we'll be making into a feature film at the end of the year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alexis?
Hi, you guys. I'm Alexis, and I'm from North Carolina. I currently work in the accounting industry, and I started my own nonprofit, Embrace Youth Foundation. And one of our, I'm a huge advocate for suicide prevention. 10 years ago, I attempted suicide, so I'm pretty familiar on just the situations that that people go through, you know, being in that depression stage. So I'm here to help, and Ariel, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Jasmine, you want to try again? We have no audio, hon. You want to try again?
Yep, almost.
Okay. All right. We're going to keep moving. Thank you guys all for being here. So I purposely wanted to invite people from across the board, from all different aspects and all different looks, to just purely have a discussion. So I don't want this to be a interview or a one-on-one question type feel. I just want, if you feel you want to butt in and talk about something, I'm going to give you the floor and give you the screen. So by all means, please do. I want to take a minute and just talk about suicide risk factors and warning signs. As you know, many of you have seen my Instagram page. I have a very large audience, and most of them I appeal to a teenage or young adult crowd. And so I have people who may feel suicidal or who may be depressed, and then those that purely just want to help or have a friend that is that way. So I want to talk about the warning signs and risk factors so that we can be on the lookout and tune into cues for other people. So if anyone wants to butt in with what they think are those cues. Someone's talking.
Well, I mean, if you don't mind, I'll say a little something. I mean, when I lost my brother, there was no signs, and that was the crazy part about it. It was shocking. It was to my family out of nowhere. Nobody ever would have thought he would do something like that. And I think they become a professional at masking it. And I mean, it's a huge problem in Jersey because of there's a heroin epidemic here. And I think drugs have a lot to do with it. Even though my brother never did drugs his whole life, I feel that you know, because of the big drug problem in the community, I think it's more often than ever. I mean, last week we had a 17-year-old kid jump in front of a train, and you know, same thing. You know, when I talk to parents and I you know, they're all shocked. It's like out of nowhere. Nobody had any signs of it. Could even believe it, and I think that's the problem, you know, with a lot of people. You wish you could have been there, you know.
For sure. Looking back now, do you still feel that there were absolutely no warning signs? No, I'm purely curious.
You know, I mean, my brother, the day he got his divorce papers, he went through a divorce, a major divorce. He had 2 children, small children. The day he got his divorce papers, that's when he did it. So, I mean, we knew he was going through a tough time. You know, he was the type, he was a very eccentric kid. He was an artist, and I feel that he didn't have the means to let it out, and he held it all in. He always cooped it up, never wanted to let it out, never wanted to talk about it, never wanted to just release those emotions. And I think that's really the biggest problem, is that they bottle it all up, they don't let it out, and you know, eventually it's self-destructive, and you explode. And you know, I wish I could have done something if I would have known, but like I said, in my situation, he became a master at masking that depression and that illness that he did have, obviously. You know, but it was too late, you know, and the family, what is left, the aftermath, when something like that happens, it's just devastating to a family. It's horrible. So, I mean, anybody that ever tried it here with us tonight, it was the best thing you did, you know, because life is too short. It goes on, and every day it gets better and better, you know.
Looking, or if there was someone, what would you tell someone right now who feels that they have a family member that is suicidal, but they don't think it's that serious, or they don't think it's
that's the area, you hit the nail on the head right there. Nobody ever thinks it could happen to them. That's the thing. Everybody thinks they're immune to it. That can never happen. My son would never do that. Would never, never, never. That's all you hear out of their mouths when I talk to people, and they say, "Oh, my son would never do that." You don't know. That's the thing. You got to talk to your children. You got to pry yourself into their lives. You got to make them open up to you, and make them feel like they can open up to you. And I think that's the most important thing, is communication. The communication is so important. And I wish I knew now what I know now then, because even when someone's going through a tough time like that, even if you think they may not do it, always have it in the back of your head that, you know what, it is a possibility. And I think that's the biggest mistake people think. It can't hit home. It does, because it would have never thought it could have been, that could happen in my family.
You know, very often we hear, "I wish I would have said or done something." We very rarely hear, "I over-talked," or "I over-pried," or "I overstepped my bounds." So I think that's a a big sign, right? A big thing right there is you never can truly be overprotective or over cautious, you know?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, don't take it for granted. Don't think that it can never happen to you. You know, always have in the back of your head, you know what? If someone's going through a tough time, you know, especially if you know they're very passionate person, an emotional person where, you know, the littlest thing bothers them. You know, it wasn't like that with my brother, but I mean, I think nowadays everybody's looking for a quick fix. And I say this all the time to people. I think it has to do with the kids nowadays getting put on antidepressants way too early. Parents are so quick to blame something that, oh, my kids must be something wrong with him because he's acting up and this and that. Put him on these meds. And when a child goes through adolescence and they go through their you know, growing up, just, you know, going through puberty, and then, you know, they start experimenting with drugs and alcohol in college, and, you know, all of a sudden they stop taking their meds, they're drinking, girlfriend breaks up with them, before you know it, you know, they're doing something crazy. So, you know, I really feel that it has a, sorry, I don't know if I lost you, but, you know, I think that has a big issue. You know, all these big mass murderers, since Columbine, you know, a lot of these big mass, you know, shootings from high school kids and adolescent kids, they all had one thing in common, and that was antidepressants, some kind of psychoactive meds.
For sure. Does anyone want to butt in here?
I will. One thing that I totally agree with Michael. Like, you really don't have any, you know, warning signs. But some of the warning signs that I researched is if someone has been sexually abused, you know, they probably feel like they cannot, you know, speak about it, or they feel ashamed about it, or they feel like it's their fault. So they try to take, which I believe. I guess it's kind of hard to you know, to cope with situations like that, and especially if people don't believe, you know, what you're saying. So they feel like, you know what, no one else cares about me, so I might as well take my own life. So it can be sexual abuse or domestic violence, or seeing a family member going through suicide situations or attempts, like even seeing them. So I believe those are some of the risk factors and warning signs. But as Michael was saying, you know, even with me, and when I was in high school, you know, no one could ever look at me and say, "Oh, she's gonna attempt suicide." You know what I mean? Because
Suicide has no face.
Looking at me from the outside, you would think I had it all together. I had a good family. I had the best boyfriend. I had the best friends. You know, I was always around. I was singing everywhere. Everybody knew me, but no one really truly knew what I was going through. So I masked it very well.
Right. Become a pro at masking it.
So Alexis, what type of advice would you give to someone that's feeling that way?
I would give them the advice. I would tell them to, you know, no matter what people do, no matter what people say, always know that you have a purpose here on earth. There is a reason that you are here on earth. And one thing that I always do, and I think it's a quote that a lot of people put on social media these days, is that when you're going through a lot and when you're feeling depressed and you feel lifeless, just put your hand over your heart and feeling your heartbeat. That's when you know that you have purpose. So I will always tell them, or I always tell people that, you know that you're here for a reason. You may go through your trials and your tribulations, but always know that whatever you go through, there's a silver lining in it. Like, I honestly feel like everything that I went through, especially through high school, it was for me to have this conversation with you guys today. That's the reason why I went through that. So I always look at situations, and even back then, even though I didn't see it as positive, now 10 years later, I can look and see, you know, this can be a positive thing. I can make this positive. And, you know, move forward in life and just let people know. I mean, we all go through stuff, and we all, I feel like probably someone gets angry, someone gets mad, someone gets hurt. We all go through that. We just have to know how to deal with it and cope with it. And so I'll always just tell them to, you know, we all go through it. You're never alone. Never.
Thank you. I agree. Anthony, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I do want to give you the floor if you want to take it.
Yeah, no, I think that we have to be more vigilant when, if we know our loved ones or our friends or our coworkers are going through something major, if they're going through a divorce, they're going through a breakup, they lost somebody, they lost their job. These are big issues that can throw someone into depression, you know, even if they've never been before. So I think to let them know they're not alone and to create some kind of dialogue with them and check in with them and see how they're doing, and this way they can talk it out. I think, you know, you need a release. You need to get it out of you, and, you know, whether you journal or you talk to somebody, but that's why I think therapy works, so that you know you're not alone, to do some work for them and suggest maybe you found a counselor or a group like Ariel runs, and offer to go with them, you know, because I know when I did my thing, I was quiet about it because I was embarrassed by it. It was the same deal. I was the most popular guy in school, and nobody would ever think I was going through suffering from depression. So just let them know that they're not alone. I just got contacted today, actually, by a mom who became aware of this play that I did, and her 13-year-old daughter 2 months ago tried to commit suicide, and she'd been doing pretty good, and she relapsed. And I spoke to her today before she went into the hospital, and to just let her know that she has a purpose here, and she deserves to be here, and that she's loved. And then you got to follow up with it, though, I think. Otherwise, you become like everybody else, you know. So it takes a commitment to be there for someone. Because it'll be that one time you're not there, then it will just reinforce, you know, those feelings they have about themselves about not being worthwhile. So,
For sure.
so reach out before, you know, just if you know somebody's going through something heavy, life-changing, you know, be there for them. Break the ice, because people want to seem weak.
Thank you. I was actually reading a fact on AFSP website. It was saying 1 in every 10 to 25 attempts actually result in death. So when you are concerned about someone, the first steps would then be to take away whatever means that you would think that they have. So if they are collecting medications, prescriptions, remove the gun from the house, you know, physically take away some steps. And you may feel like you're overstepping your bounds or you're being controlling, but that would actually be the first step. And then from there, try to develop a safety plan, keeping people in contact. You don't leave someone alone if you're feeling concerned that someone is going to attempt suicide. There's a new app that just came out. It is called MY3, Make Your 3. So it's kind of a cool idea. You're basically plugging in your top 3 go-to people, so that when you're in a moment of feeling low or feeling down, with a click of a button, you can literally shoot them a message. So that way it takes away having to work or think hard or reach out or trying to Google to find a hotline, or is trying to make it easier at your access so that the steps seem less difficult. Jennifer or Latiana, do you guys want to butt in at all?
I'd like to, actually.
Okay.
I know you just mentioned that your network on social media is younger, and my depression actually started at a younger age. I was born with eczema, which is a very common skin condition. And obviously, when you're in school, you have the bullying, and, you know, there's typical bullying, and then there's to the extreme. And unfortunately, when kids don't understand, especially like a skin condition, they make fun of things that they don't understand. Mind you, I didn't know this when I was in 8th grade, obviously. And so in 8th grade, I actually wrote a letter to one of my friends, and I was in class, and I said I was depressed and I was sad, and people kept making fun of me, and I couldn't understand it at being in, you know, 8th grade, and I was like, I'm being nice to everybody, they're being mean, I don't get it. And I actually wrote her a letter, and handed it to her and said, we were writing back and forth, and I was like, I wonder what it would be like if I wasn't here, if somebody would care. And I didn't think anything of it. In fact, I told her to throw it away, but luckily she didn't. She actually turned it into the principal of the middle school, and all of a sudden I get called in to the principal's office, and how I knew I was in trouble is it was laying on the table and my mother is there. And I'm like, oh no. That was the first time I went to counseling. That counselor, unfortunately, didn't really help. The only thing that actually stuck in that counseling session was pick something to live for. And at the time, I had 2 younger cousins who followed me everywhere. They were like babies. And you know how little chickens follow their mother? It's kind of that scenario. And at the time, I was like, okay, I'm going to live for them. And then as, you get older and stuff like that, the teasing can get worse, and it did. And obviously when you go to high school, it can be, not the best scenario. And, I kept going through occasional bouts of depression, and then it wasn't until my freshman year of college that I actually started cutting. And I would never cut too deep because I was always afraid. It was so funny. I would cut, but yet I was so afraid of hitting a vein or something like that. And I just, at that time, my mental state was that everything was out of my control and I couldn't control anything, and that I felt I needed to punish myself for that in some reason. And it was like this dark cloud just would come over me, and no matter what kind of blessings were in my life, I just, you're not in that mindset when you're depressed. And, I kind of started doing that and everything like that. And then eventually I did go see another counselor. I actually went to my mother, and I knew something was wrong because I couldn't stop crying. And I was like, okay, this is not okay. I need help. Like, I want to die. Like, I don't feel like I'm worth living. And my mother got me the help I needed, and the counselor was really good. In fact, the first 3 sessions I was bawling my eyes out, barely said anything. But the fact that I started having a support group, like a genuine support group, even if it was like 2 or 3 people, it did help. And as of literally probably a year ago, I haven't cut, I haven't thought of suicide, nothing. So it is pretty recent for me. But for me, what has helped, especially for because I have worked with youth before, and a lot of them just really need somebody to listen to. And, and they need somebody genuine. They need somebody to just let them cry, let them just pour out their heart and not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it did help. Like my experience, like Alexis said, my experience has helped. And especially it will help me in the future when I go to become a counselor and a therapist, because of the fact that, I will mean it when I say I've been where you've been. I was raised in a domestic violence home. My father used to be an alcoholic. My mother, hoarded and everything like that. I mean, you think of things and you see them. And everything that I've been through, I can now confidently say at 27 years old, I know I'm going to be able to help people one day. And I hope, and that's why I wanted to join this call, because I just hope that people know they're not alone. And I always thought I did, and I thought nobody cared. And you're just in that dark bubble, and you really just don't think. And, I want everybody out there listening to know that you're not alone. You really aren't. And this is also why we're all on the call telling you this. We're not just saying it, especially if you're a teenager watching this or younger. We've been there. So we mean it when we say get help, just get help, talk to somebody, a friend, I mean, anything. Just reach out. It's worth it.
Good.
Thank you. So I'm hearing 2 things here. I'm hearing one.
I can't talk.
I'll come to you in just a
Sorry
second.
about that.
It's okay. I'm hearing 2 things here. One, classmates, friends, peers, if you are seeing a letter or feeling that you have a friend that is feeling depressed or suicidal, don't be afraid to go to authorities or, principal, teachers, guardian, someone over you. And 2, don't be afraid to tell people. So thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your story and being brave enough to express how you felt, even at a young age of in 8th grade.
No, it's if you don't mind me just butting in, I heard your story, Jennifer, and I'm just saying I wish I wish that, you know, my brother could have got through that dark bubble, that specific time where he was in the gutter and he just couldn't, you know, couldn't deal with reality at that point. You know, by now we look back 9 years, he would have been, he would have been laughing at, you know, what was going on in his life. Then life would have went on, but just that one little moment, that's all it took, you know, and he couldn't get through it. So,
I do actually want to
so I respect you, and I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself, you know, because you know you're still here to talk about it and now help people. So my hat goes off to you.
I did want to add something to that. Thank you, Michael. And it's funny because I grew up with, you know, all this depression and stuff like that. And it's funny when I tell people, because they see me as happy and smiling and stuff like that. But you know what? We all have struggles. Are there times that, you know, I have a struggle and I might get sad? Yes. But there's actually a couple of friends. Like, there was one instance where I literally sent, like, text messages to 5 people. And I said, tonight's the night I kiss the world goodbye. And all of a sudden, my friends, like, I didn't think anybody would answer. I was like, oh, whatever, you know, blah. And I didn't even pick up my phone. My one friend, her name's Stella, unfortunately we lost contact with each other, but she blew up my phone, started calling it like crazy, and not to sound too graphic, but I was literally walking to the park with a rope in my bag. And she was blowing up my phone, I wouldn't pick it up, nothing, and she left a voicemail that just broke me. She started crying. Sorry, I might get a little emotional, but she was crying in the voicemail, and she was just saying, please don't do it. I love you. Where are you? I'll pick you up. What is it? And because I just heard her breaking in the message and how much she cared, I called her. I told her where she was. She picked me up at like 2 a.m. in the morning and let me stay at her house. She wouldn't let me leave her the next day. I mean, she literally saved my life that day. And
I wish I would have got a call or a text like that, you know? So,
yeah, but some people don't. So.
Yeah.
I just hope I can help people in the future, especially with me doing counseling one day. I know, especially when I've done youth, a lot of them have had suicide and depression and, you know, family situations and stuff, and they've been able to talk to me.
Everybody goes through it, you know? Everybody goes through their struggles, and that's life. But I think that, you know, with Ariel here, you know, I think love has all to do with it. You got to love, and you got to have people that love you around you, and you got to really, you know, feel that love and mean it, make it mean something to you, that you wouldn't want to hurt those people. And, you know, I don't know, but I guess you're not thinking about that when you do something like that. You're
not. In fact, at the time when I was doing depression, I never had, at the time, there wasn't a lot of social media, so there wasn't a lot of suicide awareness, depression awareness, nothing. So it's definitely come full circle now, and I'm glad to see that happening.
I love what she's doing here, man. That's why I contact her. I mean, I think it's important. There's enough of it. I think if there was something like this to help my brother, maybe he could be here still, you know?
Yeah.
And Jennifer, I just want to say that I'm extremely proud of you sharing that story. Our stories are very similar, very. So that makes my heart smile. And, you know, knowing we're not that far apart in age. So just knowing that while you were going through what you were going through, and I was going through what I was going through, we were going through it together, even though we didn't know it. You know,
we didn't even think about it. We didn't even think about it. You know?
So that just makes my heart smile now when you go back and you think about it, because and then one thing that we do have to take into consideration is, you know, especially in these day and times, you know, the kids see a lot, and what we don't realize is that their environment and, you know, the situation that they're in, it affects them. And even if our parents may not think, you know, what they do or, you know, what our uncles do or aunts do, it affects us as children, because we're always picking up stuff. You know, each generation gets quicker and wiser. And I think that that's what all family members need to be aware of. Like, when we see our older, you know, family members, that we're looking up to them, we're seeing what they're doing, and what happens in their life truly affects us. Like, I grew up in a domestic violence household as well, and it affected me all of my life. Like, I did not get over that until I was 23.
You never do. You never get over it.
Yeah, not after seeing people be, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a horrible, and just to think that I almost lost my mom. My situation is that my biological father shot my mom in the head on a college campus. So, and I was the first one to see it on the news. And so I remember my grandmother, we were all watching TV, and I pointed at the TV and was like, Grandma, my mom's on the news. And I thought it was exciting because my mom was on TV.
Oh,
And
no.
that's how my family found out that my mom was shot. And so I went through that all of my life. It took me a long time to just put the pieces together because I just did not understand. I didn't understand, but it just took me forever. And I'm glad I'm at that point where I'm like, I understand. You know, my mom is still here, thank God. My mom, she survived. So, but just to think that I could have grown up with no parents. You know, I could have been in a foster home, or my grandparents could have, you know, taken me in. And I felt like that's when my depression started because I had no answers. Nobody could give me answers. And I was just so young at the time. And I guess people were thinking that it didn't affect me because I was so young, but it did. Like, I took it with me all my life. It wasn't until I made the decision that, look, I'm not going to let my past dictate my future. I'm done. And once I did that, I'm good. I was good. So
well, God bless you, man. You know, I'm proud of you too. You know, it's life is not easy all the time. I tell my kids it's not all rainbows and butterflies.
I say that
too. Thank you, Michael.
You know, one of my favorite quotes by Steve Marivoli, he said, I'm going to butcher it, but the main part about it is, you are a victor and you have a history of victories. So we're not saying life is easy. I'm not saying that hard times don't come up. I'm just saying that instead of viewing it as a victim or at the hard times, empower yourself, and you have now become a victorious by overcoming things.
I always say take that negative and turn it into a positive, you know.
To add to that, power of words is really important too. Power of affirmation. Like, I've actually started telling teens and stuff, start saying positive things over your life. Like, you know, I'm going to get through this. You know, this is not going to be forever. You know, there is power in your words. And, you know, yes, I'm a Christian. I do believe in God, and there's tied within that too. But at the same time, there is power of those words. If you say, I am beautiful, look in the mirror, say you're beautiful, like, say these people have no power over me, I'm here for a reason, it will start affecting you. It really will.
I believe in the law of attraction, and the law of attraction is like the law of gravity. It's there if you believe in it or not. What you put out is going to come right back at you. So if you're negative all the time, negative things are going to happen. You're positive all the time, positive things are going to happen. And that's my
Absolutely. Latiana knows I run a support group. I run a chat room. One of the first things I do when teenagers come to me in the chat room is I will ask them to give themselves a new username. Many teenagers have very suicidal, depressed Instagram names, usernames, Facebook names, MySpace, whatever the social media is. And I will ask them, will you please go ahead, if you want to continue talking to me, I'm going to ask you to please give yourself a positive name. And if you can't say that I am happy, and that is okay, maybe today I am okay, or I'm getting better and better. Each day is getting better and better, some sort of progress, because absolutely, words have power, thoughts have power. And in my support group, we come, and everybody is welcome and open to share and talk, and you tell your story, and then once we have heard it, we've got it, and we don't reiterate it, because everything that you talk about is recreating. You're either locking yourself in this past, or you're recreating your future. So power of affirmations are absolutely beautiful.
I think sometimes that's all that people need, is to be able to talk with somebody and let it out.
Absolutely.
I really do.
I'm going to share a quote that I saw earlier today. It's by Gene Cameron. Honest listening is one of the best medicines we can offer.
Absolutely.
So truly being present, truly being authentic, you know, giving the ear that we need to anyone who needs it. I want to bring up a topic. I get a lot of parents, guardians, we've already kind of been talking about this, but parents, guardians with teens who have attempted suicide, and they feel helpless. They don't know what to do. So ideas, physical steps, things that we can offer to help parents or guardians who have those who have attempted or are trying to attempt suicide.
I would say to, you know, not be afraid. Like, the parents might feel invading to ask questions about their children's lives, but I feel like that's very important, like having a set family time or something you guys always do, so then you have that time to talk. One thing I've done before in the past with families is making like a vision book. So it's kind of helping your child explore, you know, what do you want out of life? Like, what do you feel like your purpose is? Because everyone does have a purpose and there is a plan for everybody. So having them be able to scrapbook a vision book actually can help them see it instead of maybe just talking about it. Like, you can feel it because, like, you're creating, you know, you could put, like, different crafts and stuff on it. And every time they might be feeling low or something, like, the parent can be like, hey, have you checked your vision book lately? Like, you know, something like that. And they can just look at it and be like, you're right. Like, one day I want to be a mother, or one day I want to be a teacher. And so that can start dialogue in a non-threatening manner. Because sometimes teens are like, Mom, Dad, I don't want to talk to you. Like, leave me alone, or F off. You know, I didn't cuss, but.
Absolutely. I know another suggestion I make to people is sometimes a teenager does not want to open up to their parents. And so as a parent, I would encourage them to explore another confidant, another adult that they feel safe in. Sometimes it's like a godparent or an aunt or an uncle, a teacher. They don't want their parents to know every gruesome detail, so don't try to pressure it out of them. Instead, be like, okay, maybe there is someone that I could hook you up with or connect you to. Maybe we could call your grandmother together, or I'll dial it for you, and maybe we could talk. Sometimes a pure stranger, and that's why I step in and I say I'm always here if you want me to take a phone call, a video call, meet you in person. Sometimes you're more willing to open up to a complete stranger than we are to our parents or role models. So that's something that I would really encourage.
I think that's something you have to be really careful with, because that's when you're at your most vulnerable, and that's when you take advantage of. So, I mean, and a lot of abuse happens right within a family. So I would first probably seek out some professional help.
Absolutely.
One thing that we do within my nonprofit, we have this thing called No Boys Allowed. And my nonprofit is a mentoring group for girls ages 10 to 17. And so what we do is that whatever the girls want to talk about that day, everything is anonymous. So they write it down on this index card, and no one can see what you're writing down on the index card. No one's allowed to talk when they walk into the room. You put whatever you want to talk about in the box, and then together we discuss it as a whole, because there may be some things that one girl is going through that another girl is going through. She just didn't feel comfortable with putting it in the box. So that's one thing that we do just for an icebreaker, so all the girls can feel comfortable. Because I think that's one thing, is that, you know, we feel like no one else is going through it, and that's why, you know, we're scared to seek help and talk to people about it. And I agree with you, Ariel. Sometimes we need to speak with someone outside of family. And Anthony as well, I agree. You know, sometimes you just need someone that's just outside of that. Because, and then one thing is kind of like when you tell someone, and someone that you can confide in as well, because when you want to be able to talk to someone and them not go back and say, well, your son has done this, or your daughter feels this way, you know, and then they're never going to come talk to you again because, you know, they really confided in you, and then you went and told their parents or whoever their guardian is. So, so yeah, so that's one thing that we do with our girls. I mean, rather than suicide, but just anytime they just want to talk and get out something, we found that to be very helpful.
I love it. There's always the hotline. And, you know, one thing you can do is be like, let me dial it for you. I'll connect you. I can be in the room. I'll help you. But, yeah, not leaving someone alone, and definitely directing them to professional help. Absolutely. Did anyone else want to hop in here?
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as, because I know my mother obviously took, you know, over some time, she realized that it was serious, and she did get me professional help. But a lot of people I talk to, they do make the complaint that they can't afford it, or there's, you know, not a group near them, or something like that. They always come up with, no offense, excuses. We all do. And I always try to say to them, okay, if you can't afford therapy, you always have one person in your life that you can go to. And, you know, just reach out to that person. And a lot of us that, you know, have been through that like situation with depression or suicide, we think that it's a sign of weakness if we reach out. So, you know, getting past that and realizing it's not a weakness. We all go through things. You're not alone. Even when I thought I was completely alone, because there's no, you know, anything, I never knew anybody that, you know, did anything or whatever. It is important for parents, especially like my mom. She was very gentle with it, like my parents were. And even though my parents were divorced, each one of them, they didn't jump down my throat. They didn't say, "Oh my God, why are you?" You know, they didn't go crazy. What they did is they let me cry. They just let me talk. If I didn't want to talk, they left me alone. But they monitored me, obviously. You know, and it's kind of sometimes a trial and error. But you know, especially if you're a parent, like say I have a parent, or no, I have a child one day, and I'm the parent, and my child's going through that kind of thing. The number one thing that I've found to be very useful when I worked with youth or even younger is that I just say, hey, listen, I'm here for you. If you need to call me at 3 a.m. in the morning, do it. Because I'd rather you call me and be bawling on the phone for an hour than to see you on the news one day or something like that. I don't care. Wake me up. And that did translate to the youth and the younger kids that I've worked with because I'm genuine about it. I tell them I've been there, and it's just really important to do that. And I'm just an email or phone call away as well, so I don't mind complete strangers following me on social media or emailing me. You know, I do believe I went through everything for a reason, and if you want to reach out to me, I don't care how old you are, I will help you, you know, as best as I can. So.
Thank you. Does anyone, we only have a few minutes left, does anyone want to butt in here with any last words, advice, anything on the subject? Anthony, did you want to say anything?
No, just I think you guys are very brave, and I think it's great that you guys are doing this and reaching out and just keep getting the word out that to these people that they're not alone. And the reason, you know, I think we're putting a face on it, you know, that this is what it looks like. This is what a depressed person, someone with suicidal thoughts looks like. And so, yeah.
Thank you. I actually have two quotes I want to share before I give anybody else last words. One is a pearl. I love talking about a pearl. A pearl is a beautiful thing that is produced by an injured life. It is the terror that results from the injury of the oyster. The treasure of our being in this world is also produced by an injured life. If we had not been wounded, if we had not been injured, then we would not produce the pearl.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So be the pearl that you're supposed to be. I'm going to wrap up this call in just a few minutes. Does anyone want to say any last words? Alexis or Latiana, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to say just thank you for everyone sharing your story, and you know that really is your purpose. We go through things, and then when we overcome it, it's like for you to share. And I'm glad we're bringing light into this situation for mental illness and just having a mental health awareness that a lot of people do go through different things, and that's okay. And it's good to go to people and to be real and to be loving and to be present, whether you're speaking or not. I just encourage everyone to keep going. Yeah.
Thank you. Alexis?
I would just like to say that I appreciate all of you guys. This call was amazing. To the people that are watching, I appreciate you too, and I'm glad that you actually took out your time to watch something this important. And I encourage you all to just keep moving and know that you are here for a purpose. And you can always reach out to me too. Social media, email, I'm always here. So thank you. Thank all of you.
Thank you. I don't want to say that it's easy or now, or this journey is easy, because, and I don't, in this conversation we might have made light of this process, of this journey, but what we are saying is that there is help, that we are here, and I know there are other people. So begin the journey, and it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a process. but there's help, and there's people who want to help you, and not, you don't have to do it alone. Another one of my favorite quotes by Joe Clark. It is, "Success, happiness, peace of mind, fulfillment, the most priceless of human treasures, are available to all who make good things happen in the world around them." So if I could encourage you and leave you with one thought tonight, that would be to go spread love, to go help someone else. Sometimes by helping others, we help ourselves. We get a fulfillment or purpose. So go spread love in the small ways that you're doing. And thank you guys all for being here tonight. The more we talk about this, the more awareness we can bring, and we can erase the stigma, and it not seem so far-fetched or a big black hole, that it's very real, and there is help for everybody. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone for being here. Just in case you didn't know, I'm doing a free ebook download all day, so all my viewers, the ebook is free today. I do have a chat room. It is on my website, and for those that live in Los Angeles, you are more than welcome to come anytime to my support group. Tiana's been there. Jennifer, I hope to see you soon. We see Anthony, and maybe Alexis one day will grace us with her presence, so baby Michael. But it's a support group. We are here. There's no judgment. It's purely a safe space where you can feel understood, receive support and encouragement, and meet others who have been there and can help guide you. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart for taking your time out for being here, and bless you all.
Thank you. God bless
There's help for everybody. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone for being here. Just in case you didn't know, I'm doing a free ebook download all day, so all my viewers, the ebook is free today. I